Ironically, this video is about my winter wardrobe when the summer heat in India right now is melting me away gradually every time I decide to step out. But better late than never. For my winter wardrobe, I made 5 pieces keeping in mind that in Bangalore the winters are pretty mild, so I won't really need a sweater to fight the cold, but rather has a statement piece. So grab some beverage and snacks and let's get started. I've been crocheting for almost 2 years now, and during that time, I kind of got off from knitting. So, out of nowhere, I decided to knit a sweater. The color pattern is very fall inspired but with darker undertones because that's my color palette, and I just started making panels without thinking much about it. Unfortunately, I made the front panel so long that it was enough to fold over and make both the front and the back panels. So I took off some rows, divided the sweater into front and back, and got started on building the sleeve section. I really think the charcoal black section of the sweater brings it all together, and also using a darker color is generally a good way to hide any imperfections. This is how the first sleeve turned out. I decided not to go with any cuffs because I didn't add any ribbing to the waistline of the sweater, so it would have looked weird, and I also wanted the sleeves to be a little flowy since we are aiming a little bit more for a summer sweater than a winter sweater, if you know what I mean. I had some downtime, so decided to weave in the loose ends while catching up on some YouTube so that they don't harass me later on, because weaving in the ends somehow feel like the hardest part of a project when you're literally so close to finishing it off. And after making the final sleeve and a normal ribbed neckline for the sweater, we are done. And this is how it turned out. This vest is again based on my love for browns and fall colors. I've never made a vest before and I'm still struggling with the sizing, but I still gave it a go. I've made two vests for this video and both of them use different techniques. This one is crocheted as a circular panel, so no need to sew anything, and the second vest is made by joining the two panels together.
I don't need exfoliant for this face off. Sometimes you find yourself.
I wanted the vest to have a very loose fitting but almost cropped, so I had to come up with my own pattern, which actually isn't that bad, it just needs a little bit more tweaking. After blocking it in fabric softener and squeezing all the water out of it and maybe trying to give it CPR, here is the final product. So as I was struggling with some of my classes, the best way to make it through was Pinterest. So as I was wasting away any academic potential I had left, I found this sweater vest and immediately knew that I had to make it. In my defense, I had the yarn already, so it was just fate and meant to be. I showed the complete process of making this vest in my last video, so do check that out if you haven't. But long story short, I made the front and the back panels separately and sewed them together and then got started with the ribbing. For some reason I was struggling with the ribbing for this one because it kept curving outwards. So I frogged it and tried it again, and the second or rather the third attempt was successful. And after a quick steam, this is how the vest turned out. For my video on handmade gifts, I designed a Brad bookmark. The bookmark turned out so good that I had to convert it into a sweater. So after making the pattern in Stitch Fiddle, I got started on making the sweater. Since the charcoal black looked so good, I decided to use that as the background color. The only thing that I would change about making the sweater would be using false stitches rather than actually changing the color while knitting. False stitches are basically like embroidery but for knitted and crocheted stuff, and they take away the hassle of changing colors and keeping the tension right while doing that. This sweater really took a lot of effort from me for some reason, and I even broke my needle somehow, but we persevered nonetheless. I didn't like how this looked. I tried to pull the sleeve here but something felt off, and I tried to gaslight myself by saying that this is a Brat sweater, so imperfections are okay, or rather imperfections are Brat. But after knitting and frogging 3 times, I finally got it right. Now we just have to finish off the cuffs and the neckline. I don't have a small needle, so instead I crocheted the cuffs and sewed them on. It was so much more convenient than knitting the ribs, and I even liked the way it looked. For the neckline, I didn't want to do a single layer of ribbing because it just didn't feel good to wear that. So I decided to make a longer rib and then fold it over and double the collar as a mock turtleneck. And after a quick steam, we are done. It has been over 2 years or even more since I sewed anything substantial, so I decided to finally make something that I could actually wear. My father went through a lot of trouble to send me a family sewing machine, so I had to at least try making something for his sake. I found this zipped pullover on Pinterest and I knew immediately that I wanted to make something similar. Since I didn't bring my pattern, I made some using newspaper and pinned them onto the fabric to start cutting. I just traced another pullover of mine on the newspaper and cut it out. Ideally, a sharp scissor would make life easier, but I only had this dull one, so it was more of a sewing action than cutting. I knew I needed pockets at any cost because my palms get cold very easily, so I made inseam pockets because they are easier to make, at least for me. I went with this fabric because I just wanted to test my skills out and gauge where I am currently with sewing. So the fabric was not of the greatest quality and frayed a lot. So here I am trying to manage the fraying with overlocking stitches. I've always hated the collar making part because it is always at the forefront and it is always visible, and for some reason I mess up the most here because I can't sew straight even with the machine. But somehow the sewing gods were in my favor and these seams were some of the cleanest ones I had ever made. I did struggle a bit with the zipper though, but since I don't have the footage, we don't necessarily have to talk about it. And with that, here is the final product. I don't think any of my pieces were perfect, but they are definitely wearable and I am content with that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and thank you so much for spending your time with me. Let me know which one was your favorite. Bye.